smoking, it's a revolution. Revolution, revolution. Shots to your head, it's an execution. Execution, execution. It's being us versus the corrupt. Red dot, put a cross to your head. Let the Lord interrupt. Interrupt, interrupt. Gun smoking, it's a revolution. Revolution, revolution. Shots to your head, it's an execution. Execution, execution.
What is up, Liberty Goons? We are back in action, and we have our first guests ever.
Insane, right?
I mean, we like hearing ourselves talk a lot, so we've got two amazing people from the 2A community with us. We've got Angry Sarge.
What's up, everybody?
Disregard the mask. That's actually not a mask. It's his real face.
That's my real face, for real.
This is his face.
Sorry. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
You actually don't want to see what's under there.
No.
And we have an incredible human being right next to him. His name is Juan, and he is from SAR USA.
Hey.
Nah, thanks for having me on, man.
You're Italian,
I got
right?
here. That's so good. I hit the jukebox and
They call me the bomb. No, I appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, this is our first opportunity to all be at the same place at the same time, and Juan and I met in Miami about a month or two ago, and Sarge and I have been talking now for a couple months.
Since Gray Hive.
Yeah, so we both are on the Gray Hive platform. If you haven't seen it yet, go over and check it out, grayhive.com. We'll leave a link down below. We're going to start posting some podcasts on there, I think, soon, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so appreciate you guys being here. And then, Don, what do we got up for today?
Guys, welcome to the Liberty Goons. If you guys are here now, make sure that you guys smash that like button, subscribe button, and leave a comment. I'm sure this episode's going to be absolutely fucking crazy. And this is the Liberty Goons. So today what we have is the news, and if you guys don't know, the reason why we're all together right now we are here for Gun Owners of America for the Goals event that's in Knoxville. So our news is about strictly goals today. And it's an absolutely exciting event. I've been to SHOT Show. I'm sure you guys have all been to SHOT Show.
I haven't.
No, you haven't been?
I'm still fresh.
But you're working for SAR.
Yeah.
So I was trying to tell him, I was like, downstairs kind of looks like SHOT Show, but a very, very miniature version of SHOT Show.
Yeah.
But it's got a different feel to it, right?
It does. Yeah, it definitely has that 2A feel.
Yeah.
These are people that carry, so
Yes, exactly.
definitely a different vibe.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe, right?
Yeah.
Sarge is a virgin.
Sorry.
You know, SHOT Show is all industry people.
Yeah, it's all industry people, and I think that's the cool thing about goals, and that's what I'm so excited about to see tomorrow. Because in case you guys don't know, today was kind of more of like, we'll call it an industry day, right?
Yeah.
More of like a media day, and then tomorrow it's open up to the public. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first like actual big 2A event that is actually open to the public.
I think NRA is, but nobody goes to it anymore.
Well,
So-
yeah.
We
Sarge.
My bad.
You gotta call me ahead of time and say, hey, is it okay to go to this one?
I went because of this guy.
Just kidding.
And Primary Arms.
Hey, we wish we loved you more, NRA.
Yeah, but we don't.
Yeah.
But I think that Goals is going to be an awesome event, and obviously me and John, we walked around today. We got to meet a ton of amazing companies, a ton of amazing people, and it just felt like home. It felt very friendly. It wasn't like I keep comparing it to SHOT Show. It just like wasn't the chaotic rush to get to the next booth to talk to this person about this type of business or whatever the case is. It was kind of more of like, I think we've gotten stuck in so many conversations where they lasted for like 30 plus minutes every single time we were having conversations with people, and it just felt like a friendly vibe. We didn't even walk. The place is actually not that big if you guys were there. But we didn't even really walk through it until like the very, very end, because we were just so like caught up in conversations and just talking about like life and guns and just being 2A shitheads essentially.
Yeah. Wait, and you missed it because you got stuck on a plane in Dallas.
Yes.
But Sarge and I were out at
Range Day.
Range Day.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
It was a little sketch. It was a little sketch.
What was possibly sketch about it, sir?
Maybe the firing lines, the way that was set up, and then it's like, what do they say? Don't shoot the steel, and then the next thing you know, someone's shooting the steel. So between crossing streams and shooting steel when you shouldn't, it was a little sketch.
Now, I will. I'm gonna have a different outtake on this. Obviously, I wasn't there. I was stuck on a plane, but I will say this.
Drunk.
Yes, drunk. Actually, shout out to Swamp Fox because they were buying me shots out at the bar in Dallas while I was sitting there
Well,
waiting.
we were sweating our balls off at the range.
Well, you guys were all sweating, getting crossfire from all different angles.
Yeah, so we missed it, but we didn't miss it.
We were the ones that got missed.
But I will say this: I think that it's because it is a first time event for them, right? Mm-hmm. They've never done a range day.
Right.
I mean,
So-
but general safety. Like,
No, I get that, but I do think that just the if you've never done something right, like it's kind of hard to.
Right.
And that's why I'm just giving them a break on that because I think
I'm not mad at them
yeah,
about it.
I don't want it to come off. Obviously, we're all here because we really care about our
Yes.
Second Amendment
And
rights,
we love GOA.
and we love
Yes.
GOA. I'm a GOA member.
Me too.
Everybody else is a
Yep.
GOA member, and
For a while.
but I do think that they learn some stuff during that, and I guarantee you next year that will probably be changed. So
Yeah, I chalk it up to them being excited
I
and
think so,
getting
too.
like all the vendors to actually participate in range day.
Yes.
And them trying to make it work. I mean, you can't knock them for that.
yeah, no, absolutely.
If I can caveat, what I'd like to say, Opie and the Smokies put on a great.
Oh,
event.
yes.
I mean, forget the sketch part.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. Like, there were so many great people out there. It was fun. It wasn't dangerous. Well, like I said, we'll forget about the sketch part. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. Nobody fell out, actually. So
That
it
Mad
was-
Minute was
That was crazy.
that was pretty rad. It was pretty rad.
I will say this: so obviously, unfortunately, I was stuck on a plane with Swamp Fox, and we were having a good time. I'm not gonna lie, we were having a great time. But when I got to the hotel, immediately the first thing that he did was like, "Oh, he's like, you have to watch this footage," and it's like. I think the reason why they probably did it the way that they did is because, for example, SHOT Show, most of these people are like very
They're gun people.
They're gun people.
Yeah.
They understand gun safety.
Yep.
They're competent with a weapon, right?
Right.
Where I think in this situation they probably thought that was going to happen, and then we see stuff like you showed me, and I'm not joking you. I watched this guy shoot a pistol, and his gun was like this, and he was smacking the trigger, and I swear on everything that I love,
They were going.
that was probably 30 feet high, and then hitting the grass probably 15 feet in front of it.
But I tell you what, I mean, Sarge, you're right. Their setup out there though was pretty cool. I mean, they had plenty of water for everybody. It was hotter than hell out there with the humidity.
Yeah.
You know, some of the other stuff we complained about, stuff that they couldn't control, like the fact that it was in the mountains and like you had to like walk up and down hills and shit to get out there. Luckily, I had my 4-wheel drive truck to get out there. Like,
I was like, how are people driving cars right now?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
insane.
I threw it into 4-wheel.
Or here was my first thought. When I pulled up and I saw the sign, I was like, okay, maybe I'm going the right way. And then I start driving up and I'm like, if I hear banjos, I'm out of here. I'm out.
But the thing is if you don't hear banjos, then you know you're not in Knoxville, Tennessee. So you expect to hear the banjos.
Yeah, but I'm thinking more.
I'm thinking
Protecting my butt.
Yeah, I'm thinking deliverance.
Yes.
Make you spit like a meatball.
What's you didn't go over today, right?
Nah, I didn't get to make it today. Got in a little bit late, so I'm excited about going tomorrow.
What was your favorite booth over there, Sarge?
I'm going to be a little biased. It's going to be the one that I set up. So Aegis Gun Care. No, I'm kidding.
Make sure you guys check that out.
Yes, please.
It's AEGUS, right?
AEGIS.
IS, sorry.
Aegis. Yeah, it's.
He gave
If you
us
look at it, look. If you look at it, you might be like, "Oh, it's Aegis or whatever," but no, it's Aegis. I promise you.
Aegis.
But
Aegis.
I think for me, I loved Dead Air, and the reason why I love Dead Air is because I tried their Lazarus suppressor out there, and me being a weirdo lefty as far as rifle shooting goes, the gas blowback and watching it go out the front instead of getting into my eyes was awesome. So going there and then doing the interview that I did with Chris from the 740 with them, that was awesome.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I like him. He's a good dude. It was funny to talk about the gas blowback. Did you see my video I did on my last suppressed gun? So I threw on. I didn't have all my stuff because I was up at the shooting range, and I threw in the only charging handle I had in my bag. And it was just like, it wasn't even like an old A2 mil-spec one. It was like some other like no-name charging handle. So I go out there and I just pumped out the first shots. I took so much gas up into the face, like I thought I was going to pass out.
Yeah, it sucks.
It was so bad. But the Stead Air guys are...
Yeah, so I have a Sandman S, and I've always complained about that, especially carrying it on duty when you get out there and you have to use it.
Right.
In my situation, where
Right.
I had to use it. Getting that in my face, and then you're trying to focus on target because I wasn't wearing iPro. I'm not sitting there wearing iPro at 2 o'clock in the morning
Right.
or ear pro. So
Right.
stuff like that where you're gonna have that happen and then your eyes are watered up. You can't see. It's not even enjoyable.
Choking.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of metal particles just
Right.
went up in your
Oh,
body.
yeah. All that lead. Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bomber jacket.
Yeah, shout out to Dead Air, great company. I actually stood by their booth when the Mad Minute was going on, so that I could actually like film it quietly.
Right.
We didn't stop by them today.
No, we didn't.
No.
But I have a question for you. What was your favorite booth that we went to today?
God, it sucks to say this. It was fun connecting with the Swamp Fox guys after we've had a little bit of a tiff for the past couple years.
It's like two girls.
Yeah, it was good. I felt like I got off my chest what I needed to get off my chest. And those guys were super cool.
They were fucking hilarious.
One of them has a Kamala Harris tattoo.
Yeah, on his back.
Allegedly.
So if
Allegedly.
you're watching this, we know
Wow.
who you are. And now everybody else, well, they don't know who you are, but we'll leave it at that.
I'll tell you, it was John with an H. It was John with an H, and he has a Kamala Harris tattoo.
In case you guys don't know, my boy over here, his name is actually John, Jon.
Right, without an H. The right way.
Yeah, the right way. And then the other guy was it was John with an H. So they had a little tiff early this morning, which was quite hilarious.
But then we ended the tiff by saying that the one thing we have in common is that we hate Jonathans that are spelled with an H. So
Yeah.
we like combined
Yeah.
felt really bad about that one.
There's the common ground.
It was common ground.
Yeah.
But I say that was my favorite booth because I've always, even though we had a tiff, I've always loved their products. I love where they fit in the marketplace because I think that they provide an optic for the everyday gun buyer that likes to buy guns, has a good collection, but doesn't want to spend $500, $600, $700 putting an optic on every single gun. Especially when hey, we have Sarge. Like, I'm a Turkish gun fan. Most of the Turkish guns that are on the market now are in an affordable price point for most Americans, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I go put and this is no offense because they're great optics, but if I go put a Trijicon RMR HD on every single one of them, that optic is more expensive than most of the gun.
Yeah.
So Swamp Fox with their Liberty and their Justice, I mean, that Justice is a 27 millimeter window.
Right. Especially the version 2s that they have.
Yeah, with the multi-reticle.
Yeah. And then the Kraken is another one because I'm a mailbox guy. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that thing. And then we were looking at the Raider today.
Okay, so look, I just want to shout this out. So let
Yeah.
me say this. So I have a really bad stigmatism, and obviously, I was at the bar in Dallas waiting as our 2-hour fucking delay at the airport because the airport's a fucking shit show. Thank you guys so much for being fucking terrible. But anyways, so I sat down and I didn't know who this guy was. Well, first, even crazier story. So I look and I'm sitting there and I look at this guy and I look at him and he looks at me and I look at him and he looks at me and he's like, "You look familiar, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, you look familiar too." So anyways, we talked about music and we kind of had our little conversation on the side about that, and then we just started talking about guns and optics, and I just told him, I was like, "Yeah, I don't use Swamp Fox. I was like, my buddy does. And then I was like, don't take that offensive, essentially, because I actually had talked to this guy prior to. And I said, oh, I don't use Swamp Fox, so I felt like kind of like a dickhead. So if you're watching this, my apologies. But yeah.
I think your opinion changed today.
Holy shit. I hope the guys from Swamp Fox actually watch this.
I know.
And the reason I want to say this is I have such a bad stigmatism. And I've used, in case you guys don't know this, I shoot open class and USPSA, and I always use, I've been using an SRO for a long time. And then I switched over to the Holosun green dot because it helped my eyes. And then the guy told me today, he was, and I told him I shoot 2-gun as well. And then
you were looking through the Liberty, I believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then so we were having a conversation at the airport, and he told me, I want you to come check out the booth. And he's like, I don't even want to express this to what this is going to do for your eyes. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're a great salesman, dude. Like, fantastic. Yeah. I'm still going to come by and check it out because, like, you guys are cool dudes. And they, shout out to you guys for buying me a bunch of shots where I got really fucked up before. And then shout out to the person sitting next to me on the airplane that was giving me shots.
I talked to you while you were on the airplane, and I asked you what city you were in, and you told me Knoxville.
Okay. Granted, I don't know how this happened. I had like 2 hours of sleep. I know this is going on a total rampage rant right now. So I meet with the Swamp Fox guys. They give me a bunch of liquor. I get on the plane, and then this person's like, oh yeah, do you want some whiskey? And I was like, yeah. I was like, sure. Pulls it out. Okay. Pour a shot.
Wow.
Pour a shot. So by the time I get here, I'm like, dude, I'm fucking toasted.
TSA, we do not know who this lady was.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Was that screaming on the plane?
Anyways, I got really, really toasty, needless to say.
Because of Swamp Fox. But yeah. Swamp Fox, your guys' product.
Yeah, back to that. So today we came, and he was telling me at the airport, he was like, well, we have a 6 MOA dot. And he was like, and I guarantee you, if you see the 6 MOA dot, like you're gonna realize how fucked up your vision is. Like, oh, well, thank you. I know how fucked up my vision is, but thanks for pointing it out to me even more. So today we went and we saw the Raider. I am not joking, you guys. This might be the best and most brightest clear red dot. And what 6 MOA dot looks insane to me.
Prism.
Yeah. But just in general, a 6 MOA dot looks insane to me because of the starburst, because of my astigmatism.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I swear to you that 6 MOA dot looked like a 1 MOA dot to me. It was insane to like actually have that. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, as soon as I get home, I'm slapping them on every single AK that I own. There's no doubt about it. It was an incredible dot. Those people were incredible. We had an absolute fantastic time with them. And I agree with you. I think that was probably the highlight today, except me, because I'm a 2011 guy. So there was a 2011
prototype.
Yep, exactly. And I don't even want to get into it because I don't want you guys to really go buy their business at all, because I don't want them to spike the prices. So fuck you guys.
Dude, so how about instead of you stopping switching optics all the time because you can't find anything that works with your astigmatism, why don't you just do what I did and go get your astigmatism fixed?
Yeah, that's probably
because now I see all red dots without a starburst.
Well, you know that I don't, because I have to have it set up exactly for me. Like, and it has to be exactly the way that I want it. And I'm going to tell you guys how crazy this is.
You're going to be telling the LASIK doctor, hey, can you take a little bit more off the edge over it?
So the first time that me and John had met, our family lives pretty close to each other in Florida, right? So my grandma had just passed away, and I was like, John, I'm going to come hang out with you. He was about maybe 10 minutes down the road. So I go down there, and I just brought, I think, a Staccato XC or Staccato P. I can't remember what I brought.
Get your P.
So I was like, oh yeah, we started shooting still, and I pull out, do a bill drill, and I'm like, pop, 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 and I'm like sub 2 seconds, like on all these bill drills, and then we start shooting out, and then I have my gun, and I'm cranking, and we're like, I guess 50 yards maybe. Well, John's like, well, here's my gun. Try this one out. I swear to God, I didn't know what dot was what on the gun. And I pulled the trigger
about 25 yards in front of us.
Yes. because I didn't know it. That's how bad my eye vision really is.
Yeah, so yours is pretty harsh. Then.
It is really, really bad with astigmatism.
He's a better shooter than I am, no doubt about it. And we were up close and he was just murdering it, right? And we only went back. We were at like 50 yards.
Yeah,
we
50.
measured at 50 yards, and it was a Shadow Systems XR 920, and I had a Halcyon on top of it, I believe.
Yep.
Or was that the?
No,
Ghost?
it was the Ghost.
It was the Ghost, the Sealy Ghost HDG, which is a freaking awesome optic, actually, for like not a lot of money. Speaking of other optics that are good, and yeah. He shot. He goes, "Where did that go?" And I said, "It kicked up dust like 20 feet in front of us."
I have astigmatism too, but my dot is like, it looks like a stick. You know, it's kind of elongated.
Right.
So I went to like the reticles with the circles, like the Holocene have. Remove the dot and just use the circle.
You're a circle user?
Yeah. I just
I'm
received.
so-
he's gonna
I'm
have
so
some.
glad you're
We were
here.
just talking about this today,
Okay,
and he's
yeah.
got some shit to tell you. I can't believe he's a
So-
circle user.
I had this discussion.
Well, mainly because of that. The dot being
Because of astigmatism.
Okay, so
So,
like I finally, I'm gonna take your reasoning and your logic. You don't even need to
Okay.
explain it. But I went through like a huge diatribe on one of my videos recently, and I accidentally did it to myself because I was discussing multi-reticle systems,
Right.
and I was like, you know, it has a dot, has a circle dot, and has a circle. And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck uses a circle. And I'm like talking to myself. I'm like, why would you ever use that? I was like, I can't even think of a scenario.
Basically, he was calling you a clown. He was like,
Yeah.
"It's only clowns use circles."
You could use it. It would
Yeah,
make
because
sense
that's
of
the actual
strap.
target.
Right. Yeah.
So now we're at Holocene booth today, and I started talking to that guy, and I was like, hey, who just uses a fucking
What maniacs?
Now you know.
And even the Holocene thing goes, I think there's this one guy.
There's two.
There's two. That swears by it.
But I am also a fan of the multi-reticle systems that are out now.
So, like I said, it helps me with my astigmatism. And what I do is I basically circle the bullseye what I'm trying to hit.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably not as precise, but it is pretty fast.
So, I mean, you're putting shots on target.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then I think for law enforcement, too, it kind of works because now you're circling your target and you're seeing more.
Yeah.
Versus the dot covering up your...
Yep. I actually
trying to
convinced myself into like a self-defense scenario with it today.
Yeah.
For like most people, if you're not concentrating on just the dot and all you know is you need to put a circle around whatever you're trying to hit,
Yeah.
like could be a little bit better. What's
For
your
speed,
go-to?
yes.
What's your go-to optic?
Right now I use on my SAR 9 Sport 507K. I'm sorry, the EPS.
EPS, yeah. So
And
I'm
SOCOM I had the 507K.
I'm definitely an EPS. EPS carry.
Yes.
That's what's on most of your guns, right?
Yeah, well, on the carry
guns. That's what I meant, yeah.
And then he and I both are 507 comp fans now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big
So
window.
I'm interested in seeing how that runs.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Look, I will say this. So, back when we were talking to, he was saying like, you know, I 25 yards. I didn't even know where the fucking bullet went because I saw like 4 different dots and I was like, okay, I guess this dot, and then it hit the fucking
was the wrong
ground.
dot.
It was the wrong dot, clearly the wrong dot, right? But with the reason, and then I shot an SRO and there's footage of me and it's like 275 yards and I'm, you know, hitting 2 foot still. Granted, it's 2 foot still, but at 275 yards can hit it. But the reason why is because I have the dot set exactly the way I have, because if any other thing changes, like my vision is so bad, forget about it, right?
Right.
So I went from an SRO to the Holocene because it's green, and that has helped me so much because I can pick up the green dot better,
Right.
and it doesn't starburst nearly as much.
That 507 comp does not starburst
Yeah,
much at all.
And that's the reason why I've switched everything now to the 507, because I love that optic because it doesn't affect my astigmatism nearly as bad.
makes sense.
But yeah, I think that dot is a fantastic freaking dot.
All right, speaking of dots, and then we'll get off the topic. But did you guys see the Holocene Ames Max?
Yes.
Oh my god! You've seen it at Ames?
Not yet.
The Ames is their box one.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
actually,
the
yes,
rhino.
I did see
it was
that.
actually the
Big
one.
giant rhino.
Yeah,
Dude,
Yeah.
it's huge.
so they made the Max version of it.
Yeah.
This thing is
The,
It's a TV screen, bro.
yes.
It's
the
a
window
TV
on
screen.
it. Like that's what you. I'm thinking 50.
Yeah, I mean,
50 count.
it's like
Yeah, it's huge.
it's huge. And then the Holson rep was joking with us. I forget who he's talking about that was going to do it.
It was somebody that shot for Holson, like competition wise. Yeah.
Was gonna throw the Ames Max on and then offset another Ames Max.
Which is wild, bro. That's
insane.
That's insane.
That is insane.
But Goals has been fun. I've had a blast so far.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's going to be interesting. It's open to the public, so I'm assuming you're going to be sarged up.
Yeah, I'll be masked up.
Yeah.
I wanted to wear my helmet and throw on the nods and all that stuff, but I'm not in it. I'm not in it now.
I think people don't realize that these events they're long events, and you're walking on your feet all day long, and you're talking to people, and you like.
I thought I was going to pass out today at one point.
Yeah, and then trying to wear that on your head all day long, like your neck would absolutely murder you by the end of the day.
I mean, even though it is nicer because the mask doesn't sit on my face like it does on this one because it's hooked up to the helmet.
Oh, right. So it just lays in front.
Yeah, but I'm not doing that. That's too much. I wanted to be cool, but I'm not that cool anymore.
Do you guys have a booth, or are you just here?
No, just here. Yeah, we had some couple other events. One this week and one next week. So stretched a little thin. So I was like, well, I'm going.
Yeah, it's still good. I mean, I'm glad you came out. So yeah, we've got 2 days of open to the public, and then I believe there's a concert tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
Easton Corbin, I believe.
Easton Corbin, yeah.
Tomorrow afterwards. And then we'll wrap it up and head back home after that. A little bit of news. I know we weren't going to do this, but I happened to just see it on my phone as I was glancing down. So why not?
Why not?
This is the new section.
This is a big one. It is the news section. So breaking news. The Supreme Court strikes down Biden-Harris Title IX change that some argue would allow men and women's sports.
Wow.
5-4.
Wow.
5-4.
Wow.
5-4.
That's pretty close.
That's how scary that is, dude.
5-4.
4.
Their request would have permitted biological men in women's bathrooms, locker rooms, and dorms in 10 states where they're at a state level and local level rules are in place to prevent it. So it would have overrode the local.
That's insane.
So it got struck down, and I'm
Do you have
I'm scrolling through here to see who was.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you have a
judges?
Do you have a divvy up of it?
You're not gonna believe this. It was Gorsuch.
Wow.
It was Gorsuch, and then the 3 liberal judges.
Wow.
So I just wanted to give that breaking news since it was right here, right now. We won't go too much. We're not gonna.
Well, shout out to Thomas, because Thomas always votes on the right side of things.
Yes.
So I greatly appreciate that.
Some of the best dissenting opinions I've ever heard too.
Have came from Thomas. Absolutely.
Scathing shit too.
And being 2A guys, I mean, I feel like we probably all really appreciate Thomas and like what he's helped happen, and especially in the probably like even in the past 6 months, the past year, the past 2 years, and so on and so forth.
Thanks for segueing us out of there, so I didn't have to make them give their opinion on that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you doing
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go on from that. Thank you for that. That was fantastic. Now we have these guys here. You guys know us, and we go down some
rabbit holes.
We are not prepared to take other people down that fucking hole with us. You guys know that our second segment here is always our trigger warning segment, where I talk about something that Don at the moment knows nothing about, and I barely know about it. So we know just enough to have a really uneducated conversation about whatever it is. Yesterday we talked about monkeypox, and how it's the next it's the next C-19 word. And the Swamp Fox guys were saying they wear butt diapers now.
Oh my god.
We won't even get into why. But yesterday we talked about monkeypox, and then what did we talk about? The one before that was AI.
Yep, AI.
So we're always talking about stuff that like kind of like triggers some feelings, you know. So today, because we have guests, we want Sarge to kind of tell his story, because I think it's kind of triggering.
And it's fitting. It's very, very fitting for this episode. So if you feel comfortable to tell your story, we would love to hear it.
Sure.
Where do we start? That's the question.
Why don't we start into like a little bit of the backstory about how you would have been put in this situation to begin with. You know, what you were doing at the time, like you know, you were Ellie, and so how we kind of just that brief lead up to it, and then tell us about the situation that happened.
Okay, so I've been in law enforcement for 15, almost 16 years, and I've kind of seen a lot of things and done a lot of things, but I think the one thing that's kind of changed, I guess, my views on maybe the administrative process, and I guess giving people more of an understanding of what we go through is I was involved in a shooting, officer-involved shooting, and the situation is we were getting a bunch of calls. I was a supervisor that night, dealing with a guy who was saying that people were out in his yard, they had guns and flashlights and lasers, so we kept going out there. I'd been to this house before. I've arrested him for assaulting his spouse, who is bedridden, and you know, he likes to beat up on her for some reason.
Jesus.
So every arrest that I've made, he's always cleared it. I don't know how he's cleared it. Maybe he knows somebody. It was a small county, but this particular night, I showed up on scene to tell my deputy, like, hey, tell him to stop calling 911 or let him take the jail. We're done. This is the 4th time we've been out here. We're not going to do it again. I arrive, I get out my vehicle, and he's like, hey, did you hear that? And I was like, hear what? And he's like, someone shot. And I'm like, where at? So I grab my patrol rifle, and he's like, I think across the street. So I point my light out. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning out in rural county. I point across the street, and pow, hear a shot behind me. And I took off running toward, it's like a carport, to take cover and try to figure out where that shot came from. And while I'm moving around, I'm yelling at the guy because I can see him out the back door of his trailer, like pointing a rifle out, and he cranks off another round. And I'm still yelling, trying to find the best position to get to him because he's inside the trailer now, and he's pointing the rifle out the door.
Right.
So
hard to get an angle on that.
trying to, without exposing myself. Even though it's dark, I'm wearing black pants and like a silver belly tan top. So I'm not in the best uniform to try to, you know, figure out a good space to angle of attack or whatever I'm trying to get accomplished. I get a good spot. I'm yelling at him, still giving him commands, and he doesn't drop the weapon. And like I told the investigator whenever we did the final, I remember watching the rifle go down because it was a lever action, and I saw him charge it, and then he started raising it up toward me, and that's when I fired 10 rounds, and I shot into the trailer, just guessing where he was based on the firearm.
Right.
And I wound up shooting the rifle out of his hand. He lost a couple fingers. He took a round in the gut, and I couldn't get him out of the house, so I'm still trying to get everybody out of the house. I know there's 3 people in there because I've been there many of times.
Sure.
It's his wife, and then his son, and then him. So I see the rifle on the ground. I'm like, okay, that threat's neutralized for now. Let me try to get a better angle. So I start sweeping around and yelling at them to come out. I've got better eyes on them. I get them out of the house, and it was just, I was so angry at the time.
Right.
And you can see it on the video. And one day it's going to release. I got to figure out how to edit it, all that stuff. I'm still new to this. So I'm going back to the squad car to put up my rifle, and I'm like cussing on the way because I'm so angry at this situation, what he forced me to do.
Right.
You know, when he could have just dropped the weapon and all that stuff. So I go back, and I'm like, okay, I got to clear the house. And we already called, you know, shots fired and all that stuff, and there's no backup unit that was close, so I'm like, okay, I got to clear the house. So I go in and clear the house all by myself while my other deputies keeping them, the two that were brought out of the house, the son and the dad that I shot, at bay, just kind of holding on to them. So I went in, first thing I saw was his wife, and she was shot in the face. And the angle to her room was in line with where I was shooting. So what do you think I thought?
You thought
I
you
shot
shot her?
her. Yeah, I thought I shot her. So I come in, I see that, I come back out, I tell the deputy, hey, look, we need a bird for her because she's been shot in the face, right? And he spins it up, and medics show up. Medics are the first one. There's no secondary unit there yet, right? So medics show up, and I'm like, I can't let them in the house until it's safe. So I run in the house real quick, clear it, and then the city unit came, because I was working county. City unit showed up, and he came in, and he was like, who shot? And I was like, I shot. And I was like, I need my attorney. And that was like the cut of the video was me saying I need my attorney, because I was like, it's different from combat.
Yeah.
Very different.
When you shoot somebody CONUS versus OCONUS, which is outside the continental U.S. or continental U.S. So shooting somebody here versus over there is just different. There are rules of engagement, but it's a whole different ball game here, because every round that you shoot
is
exactly. Even over there, you are to a certain degree, but if you're ambushed like that, it's different. And if I would have handled it the way I would have overseas, I would have swept that door, finished him off, finished the son, and then went in and cleared it.
Yeah.
Because the son was sitting right next to a couch full of guns. You know, it's a whole different mindset. So to finish that deal, I deployed not long after this shooting. So I was cleared. The Rangers cleared me, and I went back to work. I had some issues with some post-traumatic stress, and that's just because I didn't know how to deal with the combat stuff. So all that was brought up. We worked through it. I got my counseling, and then I was sent back into the field. Right. While I was deployed, I got hurt, and I came back, and they just finished the grand jury piece of it over a year later, and they still had my rifle locked up. So for that whole time, I was short my rifle.
Wow.
And during that, I got served a subpoena for a lawsuit in federal court, because the guy that was suing me was the guy that I shot, and he was saying that I violated his wife's Fourth Amendment rights by using excessive force against her. Now, what you don't know is the round that was stuck in her face was a .22 round. I was shooting .223. Right. So come to find out, he's the one that shot her. She said that I shot her. So all of this, while I was gone, it wasn't clear. It was real muddy. Like the whole investigation was really muddy. And then next thing you know, I'm being served a subpoena. I'm being sued for $500,000. That's what he was suing me for. And then still at that point, he never served a day in jail. So he was arrested. The first magistrate, right, did a $50,000 bond, which in Texas, anything to that extent is a capital, right? It's 99 to life or death, because you tried to murder a peace officer, you tried to murder your wife, so all that compounded. So the assault deadly weapon, ag assault deadly weapon, times 3, it just didn't fit. So I think what really irks me about it is the fact that he never served a day in jail. The bond was set at $50,000, then changed to $75,000, and then he was released. And if you look at his record, he has nothing tied to that.
That's insane.
So being released, it doesn't make any sense. A rural county in Texas, nonetheless.
That's insane.
Instead, you were charged.
I mean, I got sued,
sued.
but here's my thoughts on it. So when all this was happening, it was while I was in the Warrior Transition Unit after being hurt on deployment. This was in between my first and second hip surgery. So I'm trying to have to figure out how to go to court when I'm on crutches and a cane because I couldn't walk, and they were like, "Oh, you're not gonna walk again." But
So you're a wounded warrior.
yes,
A courageous cop that actually ran
Right.
towards gunfire, unlike some other videos we've seen with some school shootings.
Yes. In Texas as well.
Yeah, in Texas. And you're the one that gets sued. You're the one that has a year-long investigation into whether it was a good shoot or not. Meanwhile, you're unprotected because you don't have a patrol rifle with you.
Right.
This is insane. This is exactly why this is a trigger
I have a question for you because I'm super interested. So, obviously, when you saw the woman, right?
Right.
And you thought to yourself, like, oh, obviously this is a round that just happened to like bounce off and hit this woman, right?
I'm shooting into, think of a trailer door frame. And when you look at it, so basically when they did the CID investigation, they put the little pins in the rods, and they were showing it. And basically, I zippered where I thought he was, like a straight line up that doorway.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to hit him and take him down. So when I shot, I also hit a fire extinguisher that exploded out. And she was kind of in line with that. So I thought,
shot through the fire extinguisher and didn't.
that I hit it.
So my question is this, because okay, obviously like that's got to be like devastating towards you. Like you thought, okay, I shot this woman, pure accident. I couldn't see the line of sight. I took this shot. But then, how the hell would you how did you feel when you found out that it wasn't even from your rifle? That's what I'm really interested.
So I will put it to you this way. The first thing I did was I called my wife after everything was everybody was getting on scene, and I was like, "Hey, I want to let you know I'm okay. I was in a shooting, but I'm okay." And she was like, "Okay, I'll see you when you get home." So when I get home, she has to go to work. She makes sure I'm good, and then she goes to work. So that whole time from 2 a.m. from the incident that started till about noon, 2 o'clock, somewhere around there, is when I found out that I didn't shoot. It was a 22 round. So all that time I'm sitting there stressed out, thinking I'm about to go to prison for protecting myself.
Wow. Which even if you had done it, it's still it's the fact
Still
that
justified.
the fact that we would even have to go into a bad shoot investigation on something like that is just like the way that we have demonized people like you, and the way that we have demonized our police forces, and the way that we have made their job seem like they're easy decisions to make in the heat of the moment, whether to draw or not draw, whether to use a taser or not use a taser, whether to engage or not engage. Like it's insane to me. Now, I'm all for calling bullshit when bullshit needs to be called.
Yeah.
You and I just talked about Uvalde the other day.
Oh, man.
Talk about some bullshit. I think every single one of us that are sitting right here would have been charging doors and taking motherfuckers out.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It's even worse because I was telling John this too. Like I was sending him videos because I don't know if you guys know this, but they actually released all the video footage that they have of it now.
All the body cam footage and everything.
If you have not seen it, it will make the reason why I found out that my girl, she doesn't want to talk about politics with me. She knows I'm a fucking crazy human being. So shout out to you, babe. But she's actually the one that was playing it, and she was so pissed. And I'm about to have a child too, so I think that probably, made her like extra pissed. Because probably thinking like in her head like, oh, what if this was our child? But man, it was insane the amount of incompetence that was happening there, but to tie this all back, and then you have somebody like you who
Did the right thing.
that risked your life. I mean, this guy, you said he had what type?
I think it was a 30-06.
So a 30-06.
That's no joke.
That is a devastating round, especially at
There's
that
no
amount of
armor
range.
that I was wearing that was going to stop it, or even a plate.
Yeah, you
If
probably
I
had
that,
what,
it
leather
would've
level 3
been-
plate,
3.
something like that.
And the difference
lever
between
action.
you and say
Yeah.
Uvalde is every single person had on fucking level 4 plates.
And they had ballistic shields.
And ballistic shields going into the place. So we call it how we see it. Clearly, guys, Uvalde a fuck show, but
Yeah.
when somebody like you, who is a servant or a person that is serving the public and that's doing the right thing, and then getting sued for an outrageous amount of money, you don't know what. Did I shoot this woman? Did the husband shoot this woman? Like, what the? I couldn't imagine being in your position. Like, it's mind blowing to me that you've went through all that.
And the fact that you still have the balls to do it today is a lot about
is
you.
even crazier. Yeah, so
Especially because you've been through multiple sides of it. Obviously, I'm a vet too, and I have a lot of buddies that didn't come back and aren't able to do what you're able to do now,
Right.
and that's a testament to you, dude. Because that's some strong ass shit right now that you're able to like.
it's a certain type of mentality.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's cut from that warrior cloth. You know, so
Yeah, and we can sit here and talk shit all day long about I would do this and I would do that and all
Right.
that kind of stuff, but till
until you're put in that position,
that gun's coming down
Yeah.
with you.
And then think about it like this, like when I didn't notice it, it took a long time. I sat and recorded it from our computer in our squad room so I could see it, because they refused to give me the body cam footage. And they had to do a forensic download because I didn't. So I was going there as a supervisor. I didn't activate my camera until after I fired the shots. So they had to do a forensic download and get all that time that when I showed up, which is no volume, no nothing.
Right.
So at that point, getting questioned about, well, did you really tell him to drop the weapon and all that stuff? So it was like all that other stuff. And then watching the deputy that I had, he was 3 weeks out of training at the time, out of FTO,
oh my god,
dive into his car. When you slow it down, you could see it. He dives into his car and hides, and I'm just out. I'm like,
You're a fucking
It's
hero,
go time.
dude.
yeah, you deserve your flowers, big
Yes, you deserve your flowers on that one. And it's crazy to me that hearing your story, and the reason I wanted to say it in this segment and I wanted to hear it from you in this segment is because hopefully people can hear situations like this, and we have to keep telling them, because maybe one time when they hear one like this, they'll go, oh, this is what it's all about. Because from, you know, basically about what 2015 until now, it's been a beat the
Yes.
shit out of LEO.
time. Yep.
And ever since, you know, Trayvon and Ferguson and,
Yeah.
and all those
and the
things.
Dallas 5, I mean,
Yep.
that hit hard.
Yep.
Especially being a SWAT guy at the time, and then going to the TTPOA conference, and that was one of our debriefs that we had was, you know, talking about that scenario and how many agencies were involved.
Right.
We almost sent our people, but they were like, we have too many cops in Dallas. So it's just, yeah.
It's wild. It's unjust, and it's you know, people out there, if you feel the other way, well, you probably don't, because you're watching this podcast. You don't. But share this with your friends, because that's some intense shit right there. This guy and everybody like him deserves their flowers,
Yeah.
as Don put
I
it,
appreciate that.
and they deserve your respect. And, you know, Miles from Swamp Fox and I, we got into the conversation today. It's obviously, you know, we're all gun guys. We all travel with a lot of guns.
Yeah.
I, in my right mind, would never even think about giving a law enforcement officer trouble. Like if I was pulled over or involved in an incident, like I've been pulled over heading back from filming and I've got 100 guns in the car.
Right.
And as soon as the guy comes up, I'm like, hey man, I'm going to tell you something that's really wild right now.
It's
And I want to do whatever it is that you want me to do, because I don't want to make your job any harder than it needs to be.
Right.
You and I both need to walk away from this safe today, and however you want to do that is how I'm going to do. You want me to get out of the car and go lay on the ground somewhere? You want to roll in the grass back there?
Yeah.
right.
Far be it from me, because I don't feel that that's, because I'm offering up my rights to be
Yeah.
taken right there.
And
you
I
know?
that's crazy too, because so I live in Texas.
Mhm.
I live in San Antonio. So Florida laws are a little bit different than our laws. Clearly, we can open carry
Right.
and we can conceal carry. But for example, I mean, like I said, I shoot competitions. There's always fucking guns in my car. I take it. I'm not going to even get to that point, because
Yeah.
people from I'm just going to exit that out of that conversation.
Yeah.
But I have been pulled over. You know, everybody's done it. You're in a hurry. You hit that yellow light and might turn right. You know, or maybe you're going 45 and a 35 and you get flagged down. Okay, I get it. I made a mistake. My bad. My apologies. But every single time that I've ever been stopped in Texas, I think this is the beautiful part actually about living in Texas, is that I don't actually hand anybody my license. What I do is the first thing I grab is my concealed carry, and I say here.
You guys don't have a right to report or a requirement to report in Texas, do you?
So it used to be that way, but no.
Because I know in Florida we don't now either.
So we can run you and see that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it's tied to your driver's license.
It's all tied together because DPS runs everything.
See, in Florida, they don't. They're not tied together, and you still have no right. You still have no requirement to report. Now, obviously, I think in the legislation it even says like you should,
right?
But
me being LE, like whenever I get stopped, I'm not trying to get out of your ticket. I made a mistake, but I'm going to let them know, hey, I'm law enforcement. I have my gun.
Right.
And then I give my
courtesy. It's courtesy.
And this is exactly what I was going to get to as well. So clearly, I'm handing you my concealed carry license.
Yeah.
I have my license with me. Like I could easily show you that first, but I'm like, here's 2 forms of identification. My concealed carry license is on top of that. The next thing is, oh, thank you so much for letting me know. Do you have a gun in the car? Yes, sir. That's why I'm
Tell me where it is.
Yep. And then the next question is always, where is it? I tell them where it is. Okay, perfect. Look.
Just keep your hands on the steering wheel.
Yep. And I keep my hand, that's exactly it. Keep my hands on the steering wheel. Hey, I just want to let you know I made a mistake. This is my fault. I totally understand why you pulled me over. I get it. Like I want you, like you said, I want you to go home safe. I want to go home safe too. I don't want to like make that mistake. But the reason why I do that for is out of common courtesy. And I will tell you this: not once in Texas has a cop ever fucking gotten out of. In fact, this is what every cop has told me. Thank you so much for letting me know. I greatly appreciate that. We're gonna make this super easy. Like, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. We'll go over all this information. Cool. No big deal. No problem at all. Because I already introduced myself. I'm a gun owner. Clearly, I respect you. I'm showing the respect to that officer. So,
however, warning, and if you guys have taken concealed carry classes out there. And correct me if I'm wrong on this. What you don't want to do is say, "I have a gun."
Yes.
No, but that's why I'm saying that's why I'm handing.
Yeah, I'm just saying
so
what
they
not
know.
to do. You don't want to say, "I have a gun." That's a threatening statement.
Yes, exactly.
And just be smart about it, right? Like you were saying, where is the gun at, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't keep my firearm in a place that I have to go into to get any of my documents or anything.
Which is smart. And I've had that. I will tell you a quick traffic stop that I made. I made a traffic stop on an older lady, and she's like, "Sir, I have my concealed carry," gave me her stuff, and I was like, "Okay, so tell me where your gun is." And she was like, "It's right here."
Oh, you're like,
"Yeah, I'm on the side of the road, getting my gun." I'm like, "What is this?"
oh my god.
Yeah, that's another thing. So in case you guys don't know, which you should know if you're watching this podcast, don't reach for anything while you're trying to show. Hey, you know what? Hey, my gun is on the seat next to me, or it's in the back seat, or it's in the trunk.
Right.
You can clearly state that without reaching your hand over and pointing or grabbing onto what you're.
If they ask me where mine's at, I'm going to be, well, there's about 14 up front in the front of the vehicle. There's 37 in the back.
So, for you, it would be like, okay,
they're everywhere.
Just do me a favor and step back here with me. I'll separate you from your firearms. I feel a little bit safer.
There's a high probability 35% of them are loaded. From your perspective, what would you say if you could speak to the general public about interactions with law enforcement? What would you say is in that position you would want to see from people?
I mean, just courtesy. I mean, right now, especially law enforcement is receiving that a lot.
Yeah.
So when I get pulled over, I drop all the windows down, even though it's hot outside. Put my hands on the steering wheel, and then I just take every interaction. You know, even if the cop wants to be a jerk a little bit, I let him figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push it. You know, and like he said, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're still gonna get a ticket, but maybe he's not gonna go overboard and cite you for everything.
Yeah.
You know, but a little bit of courtesy goes a long way, and a lot of times officers will tell you, I'm gonna have to give them a warning, and they talk themselves in that ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
But as far as safety concerned and carrying, I keep my hands on the steering wheel and I say, my pistol's in my waistband,
Yeah.
you know, or
Right.
wherever it's at, under my thigh. But I usually keep it in my waistband at all times.
Right.
But let them know where it's at, and I'm pointing with my fingers because I don't want to reach for my wallet and then show them something they don't want to see with, you know,
Yep.
45-degree angle on my elbow and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you know what's funny is that when I've been carrying like that while I'm driving, I've never had, I've been like, hey, my wallet is in my front pocket. And I've never had yet, I've heard of circumstances where they'll say like, hey, can you step out so I can remove the firearm from you? I've never had that happen yet. Normally I've said, hey, can I reach into my pocket? Like I'll get in any, like you want me to, I'll do this, whatever you want me to do. But I've never had anybody actually like ask me that.
I think the difference is between probably mine and your situation is, as soon as I get pulled over, I'm already. That's what I'm saying.
You look like an asshole.
I'm
That's why.
that, and I was like, yeah, I'm a fucking degenerate, and I would be like, oh shit, I better grab my wallet before they even come here, have my shit ready to give you. So I'm like, they come to the window, I have my hands on the steering wheel, and I have my identification here already, and then like in Texas, quote me if I'm wrong, but like they already know if you have insurance and everything else. They can
Yeah,
roll
we
your
can
stuff.
run your plate and see that.
So I'm not worried about grabbing my insurance and like ruffling through papers or anything like that. I have make sure that I have my license, my concealed carry license here. Oh, hey, do you know why I stopped you? Oh yeah, sorry, my apologies. Can I see your license or can I see your ID? Yep, here you go. This is typically what they do. Okay, this guy handed me 2 IDs like a fucking retard. Ain't you 2 IDs? But then they look and they're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh, so do you have a weapon on you? Yes, officer, I do have a weapon on me. And I keep my hands on the steering wheel. Where's your weapon at? And then I tell them where it is. That's it. And then they give me their commands. And then I'm not joking you, I've never had a cop. And my girlfriend will attest this because we've been in the car, actually in El Paso. Because I swerved in front of a deer, and the cop couldn't see that there was a deer in front of me, and I swerved.
Sure, there was a deer.
I swerved big time, like huge, and so
Like 16 tequila coming to
luckily I wasn't drinking, but I swerved, and then that's exactly what happened. My girlfriend was sweating, like absolutely like terrified, because you know I had a bunch of rifles in the back car.
I used to get nervous about it. I don't anymore, though. Did I tell you about the Old Town situation when I got pulled over?
No.
You guys will love this. So, where we have property at, I was coming back from Gainesville and headed out to the ranch. And where the 19 intersects with that road that goes to Gainesville there, you know, kind of comes out. It's like kind of you're merging like this. There's a road coming down like this, and the other cars are coming in like this, but there's a stop sign. I'm the second car back. So the first car's at the stop sign. She goes. So I go to pull up to the stop sign and go too. She decided to stop after she had already started to go. There was nobody coming. Obviously, still my fault. Like, I'm at fault because I rear-ended her. But I thought she had gone. I was looking back down to see if I was then going to be good to
Did
go.
the same thing like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So we pull over to the side. Well, this lady starts to like get out of the car, like right there. And she's a lovely lady. If you're watching this, because I think she follows me on social media.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is my Instagram.
She's actually
Sorry.
she's a lovely lady. But she's like starts to get out of the car, like in the road right there. And there was like there's a little patch because it's right by that way station.
Yeah.
And so there's like a little patch and pull right off onto it. I was like, hey, let's pull over the side. So we do. Anyway, there's a cop that's like, because there's cops right at the way station. So they come over. But in Florida, right in that section, that was Gilchrist County, actually, that we were actually in, which is right next to Dixie County. They can't give traffic citations or handle traffic accidents. It goes to FHP.
Yeah.
So they have to call FHP that's like really far away.
Right.
So I tell the first officer the same story. Like, hey, I've got a lot of guns, and we do whatever you want to do, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he's like, I mean, he's a kind of a honky-tonk guy.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's awesome, dude, you know? Well, the second guy shows up, and meanwhile, I'm talking to this mom. The kids start to roll out of the car. So it's a mom and like 5 kids. And I'm like, oh. And she just bought the car. And I hit her with my truck to totally destroy her SUV. Totally destroy the back end of it. Like, I mean, it's all crunched in. I have a little dent on my front. Like, she just bought it. Then she starts crying. And I'm like, oh no. Like, God, I can't handle this. The poor lady, I said, it's okay. Like, you know, I have insurance. Like, it'll be okay. She goes, it's just been a rough week. And I'm like, yeah, tell me, like, what's going on? Her husband and their kid's father had died like 4 days before that. It's right before back to school. They had just gone school shopping in Gainesville. They were driving home for the first time they've ever gone back to school shopping without their dad.
Wow. Yeah. That's
So FHP officer shows up. He comes up and he's like, hey man, like, you know, I'm gonna have to write you a ticket for this, right? Which I thought was like a little excessive. Like, this is already a situation that's gonna be a lot. Like, do you really have to cite me too? Yeah. But I guess it's rule in Florida, you have to like cite on it. He's like, you know who that is, right? I said, no. He goes, yeah, her husband that died a couple days ago, he was FHP. I'm just like, this is
Oh yeah, you're fun.
this is like
fantastic,
insane right now. Luckily, like the officers were super cool, and I just looked at him and I said, "You gotta be shit." I just had to right to. I said, "You gotta be shitting me." I said, "I feel horrible right now." He's like, "It's okay. You've been cool throughout this whole thing." And then he goes, the Gilchrist officer said, "A lot of fucking guns back there." You want to see? He's like, "Sure." And I opened up my back like truck. He goes, "Oh my god."
we're lying.
He was like, that's really cool, dude. He's like, "Where's your ranch?" I was like, "Nope, not telling that." We're not going that far, buddy. You're cool, but you're not that cool because there's it's meth bed area up there. I already had shit stolen from my ranch up there.
It's a very, I mean, like, my family's been there since before the Civil War. Like, it's a very rough part of Florida. Like,
I love it. It's God's country.
It's God's country, but like, you have to be from a certain type of ilk to even be able to survive out there.
And eventually we're going to get some SAR pistols out there and we're going to fire them on that range, right?
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah. I'm excited for that, dude. What do you guys have going on right now? Like, we were just talking a little bit before we started filming here. You're gonna concentrate a little bit more on some styles and some stuff that you've been doing?
Yeah, so really what we're trying to do is make sure, I mean, we're going to these shows and there's still people out there who know who we are. So we're trying to get that fixed. So we're really pushing hard on social media. And now we're doing things like we're torture testing one, and we're doing a high round count through another. So we're doing 1,000 rounds every week, and we're not cleaning it. We're just putting it back in the box. I'm putting evidence tape on it. Initially, trying to be as transparent as possible. Like, look, like we tried to film it all the way through the first 1,000. It took us like 40 minutes going back and forth, and then me and the gunsmith burnt our fingers.
Oh yeah.
So we're wearing gloves. We're like, God, I mean, we're just going round after round. So we had to break it up into 500 and 500. Same week, so we're doing 1,000 every week, but 500. Because we tried to, like I said, we tried to film all the way through, and then even the editor, he's like, "Man, I can't shrink this down to like a 2-minute reel." Like,
right.
What are you doing that testing on?
We're doing it on the full size. The SAR 9 Gen 3 full size. And the torture test, we're doing the SAR 9 SOCOM Compact, which is one of the new releases. Which is the threaded barrel. Yeah. So if you go on Instagram right now, SAR USA official, you see we do a drop test today. And people are like, "Oh yeah, but it's in the grass." Don't worry, we're dropping into concrete. If you saw our teaser a couple weeks ago, we're dragging it on the back of a truck. And then we're just picking it up and shooting.
I saw you, Mr. Instagram celebrity. I saw your gun toss. Yes. I gave a little chuckle. Just so you know, we're
trying to keep it alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? SAR's doing it right, and like, 'cause I know you have a heavy hand in that.
Yeah.
And I love all the social media game from the industry right now, because everybody is stepping up their game in the type of content that they're filming, and I'm talking on like the manufacturer level and on the vendor level, not just like our segment of it, but like everybody else is too.
It's kind of gotten out of the suit and tie game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck you, Lucas Botkin. You know, I
But we have to be creative because
Yes.
they're flagging content for this
Left
or
and
that.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So we have to
absolutely.
be creative and talk about the gun so many other ways. But it keeps it fun, you know. And I see what other people doing, like, oh, I'm gonna one up that. I mean, we did a Hawk Tua video, you know.
Yeah. and that's I think the more you can endear yourself to people like that, the less scary it becomes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to downplay that, you know, firearms are serious business, but I think that you can do things in a fun way like that. We were discussing this last night.
Yes.
That you can do things like that in a fun way. Like, I mean, we have fellow content creators that do some like crazy wild stuff that I'm envious of. Like, I wish I had thought of it. We were talking about Grand Thumb last night.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had thought to shoot a silicone breast implant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I had done that. You know what though? Did you see the human gelatin things?
Yeah.
She
At
said
the range?
She said they're gonna sell the ones they have over there for $200 at the end of the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
please. I
She
gotta
said
get
it
one.
on the fucking show.
I gotta get one. My son wants one.
I want
Because
one.
he's like, I want to shoot it, Dad.
And I wanna do some great. I'm not even gonna say.
They're
what we're gonna do.
they're actually
Remember
really
we joked about-
expensive.
They
though.
are. That's what I'm saying,
Holy
$200.
cow! They're so. Yeah, that, I just want to make sure because I don't think the audience knows that's watching us that $200 for those is really cheap.
Yeah.
Really cheap. That's like half price even from like a show discount.
Yes.
It's half torsos. I want to, because only you will know, I want to do what we talked about doing with Showdown.
Does anybody need to know about that? I don't know. Sounds kind of sketch.
I mean, let's just say I wouldn't have Keith and the 2A boys over. Shout out Keith and the 2A boys. But yeah, I thought those things were so cool. I want to do more content like that. Like,
Yeah.
I've gotten in this thing. We talked about it on the last episode of. I've gotten into this like traditional gun reviewing thing. Some people like to call me like the yapping box. Like I talk about it and then I shoot it and then I talk about it again and then that's it. But as Don was saying yesterday, like there's people that want to watch that content because they just want the brass tacks.
Yeah,
But
that's
there's-
me.
Yep.
That's what I was
But
saying
there's
too.
also times where we want to watch PSR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yes,
when I'm at work,
Mhm.
when I'm at work and I'm not gonna tell you where I'm working at because hopefully none of you guys are watching this, and I'm fucking off at work. Like I'm listening to some bullshit that like if they knew what I was listening to, I'd probably be fucking fired. But it's because I'm like, yo, I'm in a situation where I'm just like, I need some bullshit just to like distract me from the other bullshit that's happening right now.
The funny stuff kicks that
Dude, and it's awesome at that time. So, like, PSR, Grand Thumb shooting titties, I mean, that stuff's hilarious.
Right, and we'll think about it. So, like you were mentioning, SAR 9 full size Gen 3, right?
Yeah.
That type of gun, there are 100 on the market right now.
Mhm.
Right, now, and I'm not trying to compare guns, but just that style of gun, that polymer striker fired,
Yep.
old Glock inspired style, kind of gun. You have to get creative when you're talking about them because not everybody is going to either want or understand the minute differences that you and I would talk about, or like you with 2011s and stuff like that you would talk about. They're not into that, so you have to get a little bit more creative in how you're expressing that firearm because it's not always interesting.
I mean,
We all think it is.
Well, it's interesting and that's the difference. It's interesting to gun nerds. And I'm probably a gun nerd.
You're a gunner. I'm not a gunner. You're a gunner.
Well, I know because I talk to you and you're like, oh, okay. I'm like, hey, but Nissan does this and does that and does this. I'm like, let's look at the internals. Like, and John's like, does it go bang? But not everybody's like that. And I do, and this is why we think that Lucas Botkin's kind of a fuckhead for it, because he does the traditional content, which is fantastic, but he also like fucks around thinks he's the best shooter in the entire world, which, trust me, you're not. I shoot with grandmasters like left and right. I live in Texas. Some of the greatest pistol shooters on the planet live in Texas. Neither here nor there, but essentially just going from there, like as far as that content goes, it's like, yeah, that's great for a certain type of person, right? But like PSR is hilarious. There's so many, and not even just PSR. Like
we use that as an example just because of Lucas, but like
there's so many funny content creators. I don't even know half of your guys' names. I will get caught in the rabbit hole and just be like laughing my ass off, and my girlfriend's just fiance is just looking at me like, just looking at me like I'm a dumbass. Like, what the fuck are you doing, right? And but things like that, dude. Like I'm in a high stress situation all the time, and I have so many people yelling, screaming, "We need this, we need that, we need this," and it's just like, dude, for me, that's like my zen.
Right.
You know, like legitimately my zen. So I think that there's so many new places that have never been here for the 2A world. And I think that it's fantastic because now that people can really be creative and they don't feel like they're bogged down and I can't say this or I can't do this.
Right.
Because if I do this, then these companies are never going to reach back out to me.
Right.
I feel like that's
why I like your guys' approach. And you and I, when we sat down the first time, had a long discussion about like you guys would rather talk to guys like Sarge and I and have relationships with us.
I don't know why you want to talk to me.
And instead of focusing on maybe the guy with 1 million subscribers,
Right.
that's going to put out content.
So we're not a new company since 1880. You know what I
Right.
mean? Maybe new to the U.S. market. So we kind of focused on questions, and this is what I love about this company. Working with SAR, they really listen to a little guy like me, you know, and
You're not that little.
what are the big questions you get asked? What should I carry? Right. And then you ask them, well, what are you using it for?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see a lot of our content. We're going to focus on 2A stuff. And that's why I'm here doing my research.
Right.
Because you're going to see videos of maybe people jogging. People
Right.
where you wouldn't think would normally carry a pistol.
Right.
Carrying a pistol. Or someone.
I got some ideas for you.
Yeah, working on a car. And we want it. Like, get into a space.
I had one too, but I'm still waiting for him to get back with me on that.
But, you know, just trying to show people like, hey, you think guns are only for military and law enforcement or those gun nuts. No, they're for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, business owners that, you know, go home late at night with, you know, have to go make a deposit.
Yeah.
They need to know how to carry a weapon too, and they can, you know. So
Yeah. You couldn't be more right, and we've tried to make that a purpose. I know, with not only with Liberty Goons, but on like 2A Patriot Ranch too. Of like, this is an everybody thing. Mm-hmm. This is not a Don and Juan. It's not a Don, a Juan, and a Sarge and a John thing.
Yeah.
You know, this is a everybody thing, and I think I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, and actually, like, Sarge, you probably see a lot of the same things I see just from our side of it, but like from your side of it, are you seeing a broader range of customers with pistols in their hands than we were, say, 10 years ago?
yes, and they're focusing on carry guns. Again, that's why Second Amendment's so big, and you know we need to push the carry guns because people are buying what they want to carry.
Right.
But it leads them into other guns because now they're like, hey, this is fun.
Right.
You know, this is something I can really, you know, latch on to.
That's why I tell everybody, like, what's the first gun I should buy? And I always say a carry gun. And I always say a type of carry gun that will be multi-purpose, that they can start to transition, you know, into something else. Like, obviously, I mean, you guys that are following me into a Patriot know that, like, I've been carrying either an X Macro or I now carry the 365 AXG Legion. Those are great guns for transitioning because it's a fuller size carry gun.
It's more of a multi-purpose gun.
Right.
Yet anybody can still carry it because of the thin nature of it. Hint, thin nature. If we can. Okay.
Gotcha.
Sorry. But you're right, because if you start off with the carry gun, they might look at us and say we're all nuts because we go out all the time and shoot crazy shit on the range all the time. But once you put that gun in your hands and you start firing and you get that adrenaline rush and it's pumping and you got that gas blowing in your face, and it makes you want to go to the range then, and it makes you want to get a SOCOM, you know, and it makes you want to get an AK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm like obsessed with fucking AKs out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I never thought in a million years. Shout out to Russia. That's the only good thing that communists has ever brought to us is AKs.
And we had the best conversation when you were talking about 2A advisor earlier.
Yeah.
We had the best conversation with him earlier today about Russian ammo.
Oh my God.
And Bulgaria and
the laws. Azerbaijan, or
Azerbaijan, or
however you say that.
Yeah, however you
country.
say that country.
Sounds like a Harry Potter.
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, yeah.
Thanks, Sarge. You're the only intelligent.
We told you, me and John are dumbasses.
I mean, who's wearing the mask though?
I mean, I probably should be. But I think that anybody can get in this game.
Yeah.
And I love it because of that. And I wish I had a job like yours instead of mine.
Well, I mean, we need each other, so that's why I'm here and talk to y'all. Like, it's up to us to really inform the community, and keep people up to speed on things. So I appreciate you,
dude. I like that, and I appreciate you for saying that, because I think that sometimes it seems like other companies in the industry feel the other way around, that we need you. And there is some truth to that, because obviously I wouldn't be able to produce content if I didn't have partnerships.
Right.
But the world would not be seeing your guns in the way that they do right now if it wasn't for us. Absolutely. Because just like we get shadow banned, y'all get shadow banned too. And you whether it's SIG or SAR or Kinnick or Glock or whoever it is, your content's not reaching masses the way that ours is, because we get sucked up into the algorithm. And we get, like, if some little old lady just searched for a concealed carry gun because she wanted to make a decision for herself, she ends up seeing me shooting a SIG MCX Spear.
Yeah.
Right. The next day she goes on YouTube and she's got Sarge's face on there. And she's like, what in the hell am I watching now? Yeah. So, like, gun manufacturers do need us to get that kind of reach. And whether it's 5,000 views or 5 million views,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And I always say this too, like, if there's clearly there's tons of anti-gun people out there. I work with a lot of anti-gun people, a lot of people that were originally from California, and then they find out that I'm a gun guy. And then they start asking me questions, and I just tell them, if you're an anti-gun person, go to the range class. And I'm going to tell you why I say this for you. The first time, you're going to be scared absolutely shitless. And I always tell them, don't go to an indoor range, because
it's scary.
It's the sound.
I don't even like it.
The sound is so violent.
And then you're breathing in all the copper.
Yep.
And the RSO is right there over your shoulder.
And it's nerve-wracking. Find yourself an outdoor range. Okay, go with somebody that's competent, right? Go shoot. You might hate it the first time you go, because it's terrible.
Hit up Angry Sarge. He will go with you.
Yeah. Then
He'll be your escort.
And then
Definitely
give it a second try, because I guarantee you by the second time you do it, you're going to be like so much more comfortable, because I've already done this. I've already been here before. I'm already in this position. Now I can relax my shoulders a little bit. I can focus on, okay, like, I don't, like, now I actually want to see if I can actually hit the 10 ring, And then that makes you want to come back the third time, the fourth time. And that's how you create people that really care about the Second Amendment. And then clearly the reason why they're even interested in the first place, even though there might be anti-gun, is because they realize that they need to be able to protect themselves and protect their families. And that's what's crossing the bridge for these people, to bring them to the Second Amendment, because they've been told by the media 24/7, guns are bad, guns are bad, guns are bad, guns are bad, and that's all they've been drilled into their heads. So they've been completely brainwashed until they talk to people like me and you, or you guys, and they talk to somebody that's like, hey, I want to soften the blow for you and actually come out and try this. And we're willing to talk to anybody. You guys are willing to talk to anybody that's interested in the Second Amendment. And that's how we...
I mean, even on duty. Like, I encourage it as a law enforcement officer. When I stop somebody and they're like, oh, I've got a concealed carry. Well, you got it on? No. Well, why don't you have it on you? You have that right. Just carry. We're constitutional carry. Do you even need it anymore? No, not necessarily, but... carry a gun.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing you got to think about. I'm never going to be right next door when you call. Never going to be right next door. There's only one call that I've ever been to that I was just so happened to be right down the street. One call in the 15, almost 16 years I've done this job. the rest of the time, it's been 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. So
And I think honestly right there. This right here is a commercial for the second, because
I encourage
they're saying exactly what we're saying. Me and John, we really greatly appreciate law enforcement, without a doubt, right? They're here trying to protect and serve the community that we live in. But that right there just proves our point. There's not that many cops in the world. Not enough to be at your house in the 10 seconds that you might need it to be in. Right. And sometimes those are not 10 seconds. Sometimes those are split seconds that you need them. They're not going to be there. It's physically impossible. Yep. So right there is our point. Like, this is why the Second Amendment is so important. Right. Because if somebody breaks in your house and has a gun and you decide that you're going to call the police, well, I hope you make it for the next 15, 30, 45 minutes, depending on where you live.
What were you going to say, Juan?
Yeah, I just want to add this, and to instructors, range owners, manufacturers, anybody involved in the gun business, when you identify those new shooters, instead of bullying them, bring them in, educate them, and finesse them, don't be that bully that turns them off to shooting guns.
And that's the problem, I think, with with a lot of us people like us, that they think that there's a hierarchy, right? Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I don't.
That's a trigger. What are you talking about?
Come on.
So I was an instructor in Marine for 2 years. I was a primary marksmanship instructor, and Marine instructors always had that stigma of range Nazis.
Right.
So the gunny I worked for, he goes, "No, man." He goes, "We're teaching Marines to do what they do best. That's shoot." He's like, "So we're gonna work with them." So we kind of took a positive attitude, which
love that.
The Marines were kind of freaked out. Like, is this a trap? Like, we're about to play games, you know what I mean?
Right.
But they actually learned how to shoot and effectively, and we had a great qualification rate. It was like 99.6 qualification rate on pistols, not rifles, on pistols.
Oh wow!
And the only reason why we didn't get that 0.4 is because they just fatigued out. We're like, man, I just can't anymore, So I kind of brought that to law enforcement and this manufacturing company, Sarge. Just let's greet our customers versus, oh, this is the mag release. You don't know what this is? Come on. Right. Just recently, NRA, a young girl came and she was playing with a gun. So I went and talked to her. Then her mom and dad walked up. She was leaving away to college out of state, so they wanted to get her something. It's like, well, we don't know what to get her. I was like, well, I know you're looking at this little one because it's tiny, but let's look at this one. It's like a mid-size. So I started explaining to them, and then the mom's like, we were at another
little tiny gun.
No, at another manufacturing company.
Okay.
She goes, and they were completely rude about it. And I was like,
wow.
I go, just because she didn't know what she was doing. Right. And I go, well, let's just talk about this. So anyways, I spent about an hour and a half with these people, seriously.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, now go play with these other guns and figure out what works for her. I go, and if this works, come back. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the cool thing is that that's actually your customer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your customer.
Yeah.
Will I buy things from you? Yes. But I'm going to buy shit no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference.
So like, spend an hour and a half with me. If it was me and you on a show floor, it's not very productive of your time.
But I'll do it.
But you'll do it. But I'm not that person. Spending that hour with that young lady and her family, that is impactful.
Yeah.
Well,
I educated that little girl, her mom, her dad, and her little brother who was there watching.
Yeah. Well, not only that, what that does is now they go home and say, "Hey, we just talked to Juan at SAR, and this guy was incredible. We were treated like fucking, like the worst, the worst by everybody else." Then he came in and explained to us, "Hey, this little small gun is gonna have a ton of recoil. Maybe get this, more mid-sized gun." And he was kind, talked to us, explained everything, taught us how the mag release worked, so on and so forth. And then they tell their friends, and then they tell other family people that might be going to college at the same major, whatever the case is.
Yep.
And then that's how you build customer base in general.
Yeah, I mean,
Where do you shoot at a public range?
I do.
Outdoor or indoor?
Outdoor.
How long you been going?
I have a year membership, so I don't know, since last year is when I first started going there. With I met SAR and Juan at the Primary Arms Gov Range Day. Yeah, so that's what kind of started that.
Do you go because it's a good range for you to shoot at, or do you go because the people are cool, or a combination of both?
So I don't talk to anybody about it. It's like phase and all that stuff. I did on one of my last shoots have some guys come up and they were wanting to see what I was running, and we kind of talked and all that stuff and did the whole YouTube. Hey, I'm on YouTube, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the range is just obviously it can be set up for vendors and all that stuff.
Right.
So it's a really good range. Law enforcement trains out there. Scott Jetlinski, Modern Samurai Project. Tulane's been out there. I think John Lovell's been out there.
Is that the place right outside of Houston?
Waxahachie.
Okay.
Closer to Dallas.
Yeah,
Okay.
I lived in Waxahachie.
Yeah.
Because I know they have the Primary Arms Space City Challenge right outside of Houston. That's why I was asking that question.
I asked that because I love what you said, Juan, about ranges.
Yeah.
And I see far too often, like, I don't shoot at those ranges, but I go into like buy something or get a gun or product or whatever it is, and I hear the people behind the counter talking to people as if they're fucking dumb.
Yes.
And I'm like, that poor dude probably took all the guts he had to just even buy the gun that he has in his
It's
hands.
intimidating.
Or
the
even
first
walk
time you
in
buy a
there and
gun.
say, go shoot by himself.
Yeah, go by himself. You know, you could obviously tell that they haven't done it before, or that they have. It's been like only a few times. I remember what I felt like the first time. I did in California, so like I was afraid I was just doing something wrong in there, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, that sucks. And I've seen that, and it makes me feel weird. Like I feel embarrassed for them, and like so that's why. Like Don knows, we always give shout outs at the end of our episodes, and a lot of time I shout out the people that are the good side of the business, because I think you're right, Juan. Like they own some of this 2A community too.
Yeah.
And if they make it unapproachable, that's difficult.
Well, it's killing it.
It's killing.
It's killing the Second Amendment by people doing that.
Yeah. And hey, I'm not saying you can't be. Prime example, Warrior. Those guys in there are absolute assholes, but they're funny assholes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not
Okay.
assholes to customers, but they banter back and forth and they say dumb shit to each other all the time. And if you know them, they're saying dumb shit to you. And if you want to pipe in, go ahead, because they'll include you right away in it.
You can get some.
Yeah, you can get some if you want some, if you want to come into it, you know? But I've never seen any of those guys before talk down to somebody when they come in. They're always there to explain, like, hey, when you walk in there, you're going to see a couple bays, or hey, like even, hey, let me get our range safety officer. They'll walk you in there and explain. And I've seen, I forget what's the tall guy's name with the beard.
Oh man, that's pretty cool. I always forget his name too.
Yeah, super cool dude. Sorry if you're watching. I know you guys do watch. I've seen him go into the bays and be like, hey, let me help you out with that. And like, that's what we need. And that's the kind of content that we want to put out. I know that's, you know, for 2A, I try not to get too technical with shit because I want approachable content.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if it's your first time watching a video, I want it to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, which is why I don't get into too complicated guns either. You know, we were talking earlier today and somebody was like, oh, it's the Anderson guy. He's like,
yeah.
It's like, why is the AR-15 your favorite gun? I was like, because it's fucking simple and I'm stupid.
It's Legos, bro.
Yeah.
It's Legos for grown-ups, man.
Yeah, so I think that's just, that is a great point that I had thought about before.
No, just because, like you said, I've seen it too, and I've actually been working with somebody, learning how to shoot, and have an RSO come up and make a couple comments. I was like, hey, go and put the gun down, I'll be right back. Take them outside and give them an earful, and I'm like, dude, you just stressed that person out. Like, we're leaving because they can't shoot anymore. You screwed them up.
Right, they're so worried.
And now I have to talk this person into coming back. And guess what? We're not coming to this range.
Right.
You know?
When that range safety officer could have gone up and said, hey, I'm going to show you a way to do what you just did a little bit different, so that everybody in here can be cool, you know? And like, just show them what they did. I mean, I've done it as a experienced shooter before. The head guy in there, I forget his name too, over at Warrior.
I just know Pistol Pete.
Yeah. So Pistol Pete did a great Cerakote job on my fucking Norso slide the other day, by the way. But he came in and I took my gun off of the bench and turned and put it into my bag that was up against the wall. Now, I was up against the wall, but still, you should be bringing your bag to the bench and putting your guns in while it's still face down range, you know? And he tapped on the window like really loud, and I looked up and I knew right away.
Yeah.
I went, shit. But I didn't take offense to it, but he knew he could do it to me like that. Because I was the one that was in the wrong, and I knew I was in the wrong. But like, if you had done that to a little girl, and he wouldn't have done that to her, but like, you're right, it would fuck her up for the rest of the time she's shooting.
But see, like, being an RSO myself, I look at instructors and how they're doing it. If you ever watch me, I'm looking at the shooter. I don't care about the target. We'll look at that later.
Right.
So I'm making sure they're doing everything safe. And this person did something, I was like, okay, hold on, you know. And then he decides, let me come here and flex a little bit.
We could have used you at the range yesterday.
I would have been running.
I had to get one last one in there. I
I saw it on Instagram and I was like, is that an L shape? Nah, just the way they shot it.
Just shove a knife in real quick.
So we like to, like I said, we like to close out our shows with shout outs to whether it be people or some sponsors or like whatever it is. I'll lead it off just so you can kind of get a feel for kind of how it goes. I was thinking about this when you were talking about your situation, and obviously yours was an officer involved shooting, but we were promoting concealed carry here. And anytime you carry a gun, there's an opportunity that you might use it.
Right.
And if you do that and you do not have personal self-defense coverage, you are doing it wrong. And Don and I have talked about it on multiple episodes now. And I mentioned, and I'm very clear about this, I know you are too, I have a relationship with the people I'm going to talk about. And there is a monetary situation, not for mentioning it, I do that anyway. But I use Right to Bear.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic people. And for about the price of a freaking large pizza from Domino's a month, if I have to end up using, whether it be my knife or my gun or anything like that in an act of self-defense, they're going to have me covered. They're going to have lawyers covered for me. They're going to bail me out of jail. Because even yours, which was a good shoot.
I still had an attorney.
Yes.
At the time, I had Texas Law Shield for law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a new affiliate for Right to Bear. So
we'll let you choose.
I'm still new, so
if you head on over,
I'll give him his props.
If you head on over to protectwithbear.com and use the code 2APR, get yourself a discount. Like I said, cost of a freaking pizza.
Yeah.
I don't even see it come through on my bank statement every month because it's just, it doesn't make a...
It's there.
Doesn't make a dent.
It's there, but we'll always leave the link below. It's in every one of our episodes because I honestly, even though, like he said, we have a relationship with him, I had self-defense coverage with a different company prior to going with Right to Bear as well. You got a free t-shirt from them today, actually.
Yeah. I actually used to use them, and I totally...
They tried to get me to sign the thing too, and I was like,
Well, the reason why is because I wanted a t-shirt to wear at the house. I was like, this is great. I can bullshit around in this.
You got a shout out, Sarge?
Can I do two?
Yeah. You can do whatever you wanted to, man.
So I want to give a shout out to Aegis Gun Carrier. Thanks for letting me come set up for you. And one, they're a great company. If you're looking for lube, cleaning, all that stuff, SAR's about to put them on their website. That's who they're doing all their testing.
That's who we're using for the turkey test.
Yes. So check those guys out. I have a coupon code with them, obviously. 10% off. Just type in Angry Sarge. But great company, former law enforcement owned. They're out of Boise, I think.
Oh, cool.
So, great company. Aegis. AEGIS.
We'll leave a link down below.
Yes. You got you. And then second, the only reason why I'm here, as far as the YouTube and all that stuff, is from a guy named Marine Gun Builder. I don't know if any of you know him. So, yeah, you do, because we all had the meeting. So, MGB was kind of like the
cool dude
reason why I got into this whole thing. So I want to give them a shout out, and shout out not only Gray Hive, but Freedom Crew University. So if you're looking to build firearms and stuff, which we're hoping that the Supreme Court's going to knock down the frame receiver rule.
Yeah.
We're like right there. So, because you should be able to build your freedom, and that's coming from somebody who's LD. I'm telling you.
There you go.
Don't go to SDI.
Yes. Yes. So, and Gray Hive, check us out.
We both have team rooms
Yeah.
on Gray Hive. Yeah, we need to get SAR a team room on Gray Hive.
Yeah, they need to be a vendor. For sure.
Yeah. Shout outs.
I got 2 also.
Yeah.
First one is In the Black on Instagram. They're In the Black HQ. They mainly sell t-shirts and stuff, but their content is so cool and it's really light. Like we were talking about that earlier. Like it's nice to see the community lighten up a little bit. Like we're saying, we're not all super tactical. We don't have to be super tactical.
Yeah.
Right.
Just laugh at each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Go check it out and you'll see them stuff. They got like characters like Juan Wick, Special Operator.
Oh, that's
and like the
nice.
dad in like jean shorts.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
In the Black HQ.
Yeah. So I'll be I'm gonna be talking to them next week. We're gonna try to do something together.
Hell yeah.
But and also shout out to you guys, man. Angry Sarge, met him about 2 years ago at a range, and we just kind of hit it off. And then I met you a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So the way y'all do things and inform the community, because the media, if they don't get likes or hits or views, and unfortunately cops when they do wrong, that's what they want. That's what sells in the media, and y'all show the other side. So very cool.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Oh, you too.
Absolutely.
Dante.
No, actually, I'm gonna do 2 as well. Actually, I'll do 3. But shout out to you guys. Both.
This is your show.
Yeah.
You do
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this Angry Sarge, thank you so much for telling us your story. If you guys don't know this, but we were at dinner earlier and he started to talk about it, and I was like, don't tell me everything. I actually want to know more about this.
And you know more than I've
Yes.
told.
So, and we greatly appreciate that, because
appreciate
we know that that situation is not something that maybe every single person would want to talk about. So we're super thankful that you told us that, and you came with tons of insight. But I think that the public never gets to hear, so I greatly appreciate that. And shout out to Juan here at SAR. Obviously, this guy's an incredible guy. I mean, he's been in the gun industry for quite some time, and it just is just filled with information. And obviously, this is a big, strong, Second Amendment person that really cares about the Second Amendment, just like you guys that are probably watching. And I greatly appreciate that you guys actually decided to come on the show. I know it was last second. So thank you for spending your time with Liberty Goons. And then obviously while we're all here, Gun Owners of America, shout out to you guys.
GOA.
Because otherwise this would not have probably happened, right?
We're all sitting here in Knoxville.
Thank you for letting my
Yes.
small channel be a part of this. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So big shout out to Gun Owners of America, Goals here in Knoxville, because I honestly think that this is going to be a big event in the next
This is the next
2 to
level.
5 years. I think this is really going to grow, and especially since it's open to the community, I do think that this has a lot of potential. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and I'm excited for all your guys' careers as well in the gun industry, and I'm big fans of all of y'all. So
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've got at Don Welch Music, we've got at SAR USA Official, we've got at Angry Sarge, we've got at 2A Patriot Ranch. That's Don. I'm John. We're the Liberty Goons.
there you go. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, comment, follow us on Instagram at Liberty Goons, and we are out.